Greetings and salutations. I am Richie Moon. Welcome to the Richie Moon Show, and this is Spartacus House of Ashur, episode 7, Deepest Wounds. Let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it. This episode opens up with heartbreak. Ashur and Chorus are walking into Operator's house to find him slain, and on the wall in Operator's blood there is a Cilician sign. Ashur immediately recognizes the situation, grabs Chorus, and they get out of there. The loss of heart's desire inflicts deepest wounds. Another thing that I love about the show is the title of the episode. They always say the title of the episode in the episode, and so many times the shows that's not the case. So I appreciate how they do that. Of course, at this point has been mourning for several days, absent water, and Ashur lets Hilaria know that he's denied entry to the villa lest he cause unwanted disturbance, because with the Cilicians, we all know the situations with the Cilicians last time and how Caesar and Crassus were really behind it. So at this point they are assuming this is the same situation because Caesar threatened Operator, so 2 + 2 = 4. Cassudia is a mess. We all know how close Cassudia and Operator were, and she is mourning Operator, and Gabinius comes in and tells her to essentially to pipe down because she is howling and screaming. Gabinius agrees to preside over the auction and say some words of tribute to Operator because the games are absolutely out of the way. We cut to the Greek medicus, who is probably telling Achillea to take it easy as she is gearing back up for training, and Calidus sees her and says, "It lifts spirits to see you rise again." Calidus and Achillea talk about her recovery and how of all of Capua is in demand to see the goddess of death, and how it's a fulfillment of the senses, a feast of the senses. And Calidus thinks she's talking about him, but she's talking about how intoxicating it is being in the arena. He also informs her that Tarchon has taken mantle of champion until she is able to reclaim it. Achillea asks, why is a man like yourself, a more worthy gladiator in all the senses, not taking such a title? And he lets her know that he has been elevated to Doctori. So as Achillea comes out into the sands for the first time, all the men start beating her chest in respects to Achillea, and they scream Achillea and let her know, because she has brought in honor and glory to this house. So except for Tarchon and Ephesius, and Achillea is eager to face the intern champion. So her and Tarchon face off head to head, and Tarchon easily bests her because he exploits her hand. Matchup, Tarchon constantly targets Achillea's hand, and her hand starts bleeding again. Doctori tells Achillea to return to training when she is able. Doctori tells Ashur that Achillea needs more time to recover, but Ashur warns that the crowd's attention is fickle, and if she plummets, so will this house. He positions his son, now the champion, he positions a favor for his son, and Hilaria is overlooking the books to see if they have enough coin to purchase the House of Operator, but I'm pretty sure the coin will fall short of ambition. Cornelia, who just received essentially the Lao pack from Rome, she just got the finest opium via Pompeii there to the House of Ashur, and Ashur is very adamant, like he does not partake. He said it clouds the visions with apparitions of the mind. It clouds visions with apparitions of the mind. Chris arises again, attempting to gain access to the villa where he is denied. And when he is denied by the guards, he starts going on a rampage and opens up a can of whoop ass on everybody. After he is knocked out, after the gladiators and the guards had to take him down, he is rising again in the cell, but this time chained. And he wants to get into the villa to basically unalive Cornelia from the Cilician situation that happened before. Ashur would have, of course, be by his side as he goes to Operator's auction, and Ashur lets him know it was not Cornelia or Caesar's hand that had a part in in Apatur's death. And that's when he reveals to him that he boastfully told Proculus about what Apatur was going to do, and that possibly could be it. And what I love about this scene is you can see the transformation. Such great acting by the actor who plays Chorus, and he's almost like a savage dog trying to get out of it. And when Ashur tells him how he wants him to be by his side, he calms down, takes in the situation, and sees that Ashur is on his side, attempting to fucking help, and he says, "Your will, my hands." So Cornelia lets Messia know that she is valued, but she does not care for the layer of her thoughts unless she is asked. And once again, Ashur interrupts. This is about I didn't mention it before, but this is about like the 4th time in the episode that Ashur has interrupted Cornelia in the middle of something. So she says, Ashur says apologies to Cornelia, and she says words that are eternally on your lips. So Ashur again broaches Cornelia of the subject about Proculus and Apatur and the belongings. But he does it in this time with the hopes that he can borrow some coin and gain warm embrace from the house of Caesar. It costs 25,000 denarii, and that is a very small sum to the house of Caesar. They're always looking for an excuse to partake in wine. They take the wine in common purpose, and she makes Ashur partake in opium. She says, "Oh, Syrian, you're willing to take one gift and not the other." So, he doesn't want to take it, but he finishes the cup of opium, and Ashur is high. He's higher than Mount Vesuvius, okay? He sees Hilaria come, and he is just telling her everything she wants to hear, everything that his heart desires. He starts making love to Hilaria in the waterfalls and telling her that my heart belongs to you, and she starts to call him Donimus, and he says, no, I want you to hear my name. And then we find out that he is really envisioning Hilaria to be Viridia because he is high off that opium. We cut to Gabinius at Apatur's auction, and he tells the crowd that usually the money will go to the Edile, and the Edile will decide what he's going to do with the money. But in this case, the money will go into strengthening the continuing incursion against the Cilicians, which the Edile didn't really seem too happy about, right? So Chorus wants blood immediately because, as we learned in previous episodes, the brother Ferox, when they kill somebody, they take some kind of pendant and they put it on their belt strap. And we know that Chorus gave Apatur his pendant that he won from the arena, and that is what the brother Ferox had on his pendant. So boom, the proof that they needed that Proculus had a hand in killing Apatur, but they can't act on it right then and there, even though Chorus is ready for blood, right? Even though Chorus is ready for blood. So that the auction goes off, and they're going back 7,000 denarii, 8,000 denarii. It gets all the way up until Ashur just shuts it down and says 27,000 denarii. But what he doesn't realize, what's going on in between this, is when he first gets to the auction, he sees Viridia, and he lets her know. Ashur lets Viridia know that through her prayer and him finally embracing the gods, and through prayer, Achillea is back and she is risen. They embrace. They're holding hands. Kasudia sees that, not having it, not with the shits at all, immediately grabs Viridia away. Cornelia comes over there, talks to Kasudia about Viridia marrying Quintus, marrying Quintus Caesar, man, to strengthen that bond, to take him away from Pompey. And Kasudia lets Cornelia know that when Ashur came over there and broached the subject with Gabinius, he immediately denied that. So while he's over there saying 27,000 that Cornelia was initially going to help him with, come back around, I was like, how damaging it is and how upsetting it is when promises not kept, how vexed that you are when I told you to do something and you didn't follow through. Now I'm doing the same thing to you. So my man Ashur found himself out there, assed out, cashed out. Chorus ready to pop, but he has to tell him to relax because he can't move on this. Because if he tries to move on this right then and there, all of them might go down. Achilles' injury to her hand is severe, even to a point where she can't swing the sword against the idle log. After Tarkhan jests Achilles about that, she finally grabs the spear. She finally takes up the spear. And man, this girl starts putting the beats on Tarkhan. Again, she sees the young girl. She gets distracted. But the spear is clearly Achilles' weapon. Tarkhan gains victory on Achilles, and Tarkhan unexpectedly is rewarded. Well, it's not unexpected because he petitioned his father to ask Dominus to get his young woman, the young Roman woman that we see. I don't know. She's not Roman. She's not Roman. She's a slave girl, and he wants to gain his freedom, and he wants to free her. And she has a damage on her hip. She has some kind of bruise on her hip, and he's probably going to kill the fat Roman troll guy because he says that he wants them to sit in the front row the next time that he fights in the arena. Casudia tells Proculus of Ashur's plan, and even though Proculus knows how close they are, he's wondering, why would you tell me of his plans? And you essentially have proof that I killed one of your best friends. She says, I love Apater, but the fact that the Syrian thinks that he can lust from my daughter, my hatred overshadows my love for Apater. So she tells him all that. But before that, actually, before the auction ended, Ashur broached Casudia about the situation, letting him know that it was actually Proculus that had a hand in killing Apater, thinking that he can get her on his side, or so we think. So Casudia lets Proculus know that I'll send a false invitation to Ashur, saying that Gabinius and the Edai will meet him at a site that nobody can really see, out of mind, out of sight, and you can take it from there. So Ash shows up to the arena. The brother Ferox are there, and some gladiators there from the house of Proculus. But Ashur, this is not his first time swimming in these waters. He's been on plenty of missions with Batiata, so he shows up with his own gladiators, and Kor shows up in the middle of the night. It is awesome because he shows up, the moon shining in the background. He comes down, and Kor shows why he once stood fucking champion, destroys the brother Ferox, throwing one of them on the spikes, literally picking up one of them by his legs and bashing his head into the wall. And Ashur, and he lets one of the brother Ferox go, and literally just kicking him on the butt on the way out. And he lets Ashur know that he wants to resume his mantle as Ductori for the House of Ashur. They shake hands, and that's how the episode ends. And I love the fact that, it sucks that Apater died, but Chorus was able to find some semblance of peace and love outside of the arena. And in the act, he also got to fight in the arena one more time by killing the brother Ferox, who killed Apater. So just beautiful storytelling. Beautiful writing. Once again, it just hits on all marks. And I think this is probably the most calmest episode of the season. But it's only building up for what's going to happen next, because he let one of the brother Ferox go. So we'll see what's going to happen on next show's episode. I'll be here again for another breakdown for all the Easter eggs. I'm Richie Moon. Catch you here. And the gods, let it be fit that we review another episode of the House of Ashur. Peace, love, and light.